everyone. I am Chris O'Connor with State of Search by DFWSEM. And tonight we're having our monthly meeting, and I am so excited to be here. And I'm going to introduce Sherry in just a moment, but I just want to cover some business just for a couple seconds. I am the chairperson for the State of Search Conference in 2024, and the conference will be held October 28th and 29th. It's that Monday and Tuesday right before Halloween. It will be in Grapevine, Texas, the exact same place as it was last year. And we have tickets for sale, but I'm really excited to tell you that we have 40% of the tickets sold. That's quite a feat and we're only in June. So that means we're going to sell out and only be a couple months away before we do sell out. So you want to jump on getting those tickets before they go up. Each month they go up a little bit just to cover costs for advertising and other items. So now is the time. Get your ticket now, and so you can attend in October. All the information is at stateofsearch.org. So any questions that you have, you can fill out the form, send them in. But we are excited to have the conference. We've got some great keynote speakers, and we've got some fantastic speakers for the 2 days. Now, it's going to be designed a little differently, but we're still going to get great information. So with all that being said, I am so honored, so excited to introduce you to Sherry Bonelli. Sherry Bonelli is a Google Business Profile Platinum product expert. Okay, that's like at the top of the list there. I mean, it is the cream of the crop. And she has spoken at State of Search in the past. She's come to a couple of my groups and spoken about Google Business Profile. As you know, I love Google Business Profile. I talked about it forever. She's been in this industry, should I tell them, Sherry, since
it's a long time.
1998, long time. So there isn't much she hasn't seen. And she's appeared on the Today Show, CNN, ABC News, and so many other media outlets. This is somebody you want to listen to, and somebody you want to learn from, and somebody you want to follow. She is the person I refer people to when it's something that I can't do, because she will get it done. So Sherry, I want to welcome to State of Search by DFW SEM. We're so excited to be here. I forgot to tell you her company. I think it's Early Bird Digital Marketing, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, Early Bird Digital Marketing. Sorry about that. So Sherry, take it away. Let's see what you've got. I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, tonight we're going to talk about Google Business Profile suspensions. Google recently changed how suspensions are being handled, and so we're going to talk about the new appeals process. So hopefully everyone's excited about that. At some point, guys, your listings your Google Business Profile listing will probably get suspended, and I know that probably shocks you, but at some point you're going to be faced with the suspension. And so it's very important that you understand how this new appeals process works. And so there are two types of suspensions generally. There's what we call a soft suspension and a hard suspension. A soft suspension means that your Google Business Profile is still going to show up in public, but you basically lose control of it. You don't have any access to making changes to your profile that will show publicly. And so it's basically kind of a dead stick in the water. And so you need to get control and basically get your listing reinstated. Even though it shows up publicly, it's open to malicious edits that could take effect. And so you want to gain control of your listing by getting your suspension reinstated. And then there are hard suspensions. Hard suspensions mean that your Google Business Profile drops off completely and is not visible to the public. And so the reason when you find out that your Google Business Profile is suspended is you're going to see a suspension notice in your Google Business Profile dashboard. And you'll also probably get an email that says that your listing has been suspended. That's really one of the first ways that you find out that your listing is suspended. Now, I also get phone calls from potential clients that say, hey, our calls have dropped off, or we're no longer getting visitors to our storefront. Then they go in and check and find out what's wrong, and then they notice a notification. And so that's another good indication that your listing has been suspended if you see a sudden drop in traffic or you see a sudden drop in calls. And so once your listing gets suspended, it's time to put on your thinking cap and figure out your detective hat and figure out, what did I do wrong? What rules or violations do I have on my Google business profile that would have caused a suspension? Because it's up to you to figure that out. Google is becoming more transparent about at least giving you a general idea about what the suspension reason is, but it's really not narrowing it down to the very specific. So they're not going to tell you it's because you've keyword stuffed your business name or it's because of this specifically. They're going to give you a broad general guideline that you've violated, but it's very broad. So it's up to you to make sure that you read the Google Business Profile guidelines and figure out what exactly you may have violated. And to be honest, in a lot of cases, you may not have violated anything. And Google may just be targeting you because of your industry. And they may just want to verify that you're a legitimate business. So in a lot of cases, GBP listings get suspended just because they may have made some edits that may have caused them to get suspended. And Google just wants to verify that you're a legitimate business. So you may not have even violated any guidelines, but Google suspends you anyway. Excuse me. And so you want to read through the guidelines and just look through to make sure that you're not violating any obvious guidelines. So I'd like to go through some of the common reasons for suspensions because there's quite a few. Keyword stuffing your business name is a big reason why businesses get suspended. That would be adding keywords to your business name that are not part of your legitimate legal business name. Using a P.O. box or a UPS box store address, that's another big one. If you have a virtual office address or a co-working space address, that's another big reason why suspensions happen. If people have reported your business as having a violation, like one of these listings, that one of these issues that we're talking about, someone has filled out a redressal form, that would be another reason why you'd get suspended. Sometimes having your listing as a 24/7 business, sometimes that can trigger a suspension, especially if you have a storefront and you really don't have people at that storefront 24/7, that can trigger suspension. If your URL website redirects to another website or redirects to a social media page, that can trigger a suspension. If you change from a storefront to a service area business or a service area business to a storefront, if you change that address, that's another reason. If you have multiple listings at the same business address, that would be like a duplicate listing. There's another reason. If your GBP account is associated with other suspended or suppressed listings, if people have reported you as a review gating business, so that would mean if you're using review gating software where people aren't allowed to leave negative reviews directly onto review software, that would be another reason. I'm sorry, I have throat issues tonight. If your site was hacked or if there's presence of malware on your site, that may cause it. Reports of fake reviews on your Google Business Profile listing. So that would be if someone reports that you have bought reviews for your GBP listing, that would be another reason why you could get suspended. If you have the same phone number on multiple profiles, that would be another good reason why you could get suspended. If you have an online only business, which violates Google's guidelines, sorry, you're probably going to get suspended. If there's category confusion, that means if there are categories that you've selected that don't really align with other categories. So if you're an HVAC company and you suddenly list that you also do painting, that really doesn't align with your other categories. So Google would find that suspicious. Mismatched name, address, and phone number. That would be if your name, address, and phone number don't match on other online resources and Google says, this doesn't really make sense. All the other online directories and other places that we found have a different name, address, and phone number. So that would be another reason why you might get suspended. Two businesses that have the same address, that would be another trigger. And violations of other Google products. So that would be if you have violated an email address problem or violation, or if you violated YouTube guidelines, or if you violated Google Ads guidelines. If you violate any Google products, that would be another reason your Google business profile is automatically going to get suspended. Your address hours don't match with what's listed on your website or other business online directories. So always make sure that your business information on your GBP listing matches what's on your website. So if you have business hours on your website, make sure that they're the same business hours that you have on your GBP listing, and make sure your phone number and name and address are the same that are on your Google business profile listing. If you have a service area business and you're displaying your physical address, that's a violation. So that's another huge reason why businesses get suspended. Having more than one listing in a service area that have overlapping areas. So when you are running a service area business, you can only have one service area business within a 2-hour radius. So if you have more service area businesses that overlap in that 2-hour radius, that could be a reason why you're going to get suspended. If you have a description that violates guidelines. So I've seen this a few times where the description has violated guidelines, and so the listing has gotten suspended. So if you're ever in doubt, look at your description to see if you're using any words like discounts, if you're offering any discounts in your description or any sale like words. That can cause a reason, that can be a reason for a suspension as well. A manager on your listing got their account suspended. And so basically, any of the accounts that they were managing also got their listing suspended. So that's like an account level suspension. So sometimes that happens. And the other tip that I have is don't make a lot of edits in one sitting. So don't go into your Google business profile and upload a bunch of photos, change your categories, and then decide to change your business description. I would recommend making one change and then kind of walking away and then coming back, maybe a half an hour later and then making another change. Don't make a bunch of changes in one sitting. That's never a good idea because that can be a red flag for Google and cause a suspension. The other thing is if you have a storefront business where you're showing your address, you must have permanent signage at your location. This is not permanent signage, guys. This does not count as permanent signage. We've had people try and submit this as permanent signage, and this is not considered permanent signage. In this case, the business, what they did is they keyword stuffed the business name, and they were working out of a co-working space. And so they got their listing suspended. In this case, the two businesses had the exact same address and the same phone number, and so their listings got suspended because of that. So again, you want to review the guidelines, and often if you get an account level suspension, you'll lose your reviews. And so it's very important to keep that in mind as well. Often you can get those reviews back after you get reinstated, but just know that that's a possibility. So there is a new appeals process that just was rolled out. And now it's rolled out to everybody. And it's a little bit different. If you've been through the appeals process in the past, it was more through the reinstatement process where you got to go back and forth with the support team a little bit. So sometimes you would say, okay, I'm submitting these documents to the support team. Maybe you didn't submit the right documents. And so you would reply to the support team and say, okay, here's some more documents that I'm providing to you. And they'd finally say, okay, we're going to go ahead and reinstate you. This new appeals process is completely different. You pretty much get one shot and then you get another shot if you're lucky to submit. And that's pretty much it. You don't get any other recourse. And so it's very important that you follow the guidelines and go through your appeal tool and submit the documentation, the appropriate documentation at the outset correctly, because you really don't get the back and forth that you used to be able to get through the reinstatement process. So what I recommend doing is reading these 2 help documents that I have here on the screen, because it's very important that you get these right. So you're going to get an email that says that your listing has been suspended. It's going to give you the violation type, and it's going to give you a link that you can go to check and see what type of violation it was. And again, that's more of a broad general violation type. It's not going to tell you keyword stuff your business name, but it's going to give you a general violation type. Then you're going to click on the blue appeal button, and that's going to take you to the link below. At that point, you're going to need to confirm that the email address that you are on right now, that you're logged into, is the correct email address for the account that's suspended. So make sure that it's the correct email address, and then click confirm. If you have more than one account in more than one Google Business Profile, you'll need to select the right account. If you only have one listing, then you're only going to have one listing that shows up. Come on. Oops. And so you'll see there what violation type is. So in this case, it was deceptive content. And you're going to see details eligible for appeal. You may see not eligible for appeal. And if it's not eligible for appeal, there's nothing you can do. Your listing is just not eligible for an appeal, and you're just done. I haven't seen that yet, but that is an option. So if you see not eligible for appeal, you just simply can't appeal. But if you see eligible for appeal, you'd click next. This is where you want to click the submit button, but notice where it says evidence needs to be added within 60 minutes for it to be included in your appeal. This is really important because you have 60 minutes to upload your documents. And this is where it's really important for you to pay attention and have in advance what type of documents you need to upload before you take this next step. Because if you don't have the documents ready, the clock starts ticking and you won't have time to gather those documents. And this is where I think it's kind of Google doesn't really give you the time to look up those documents that are needed before this clock starts ticking. So it's better to, right now, after we get through with this presentation, make a list of these documents that you need and start gathering them ahead of time before you get suspended, so you have them at the ready when you do get suspended. So these are the documents that you need. Yeah, the appeal is timed. Yep. So upload the documents that you need. So you need an official business registration, business license, tax certificate, and a utility bill. So now they say or utility bill, but I would recommend uploading as much evidence as you can. So all the documentation that you submit needs to match the Google Business Profile business name and address exactly. So I can't tell you the number of businesses that try to upload documents that don't match. So for instance, they may have a DBA. So what they do is they upload their corporate LLC documentation that has the business name of their corporation. That's not going to cut it. They need to have the DBA documentation, not their main corporation, because the business name doesn't match, or the address on their utility bill doesn't match the address on their Google Business Profile listing. I mean, I can't tell you the times I go back and forth with clients to get the right documentation. And had they submitted the documentation as they were originally going to submit it, they would have never gotten approved because it didn't match. So everything must match the Google Business Profile listing name and address exactly. So utilities can include electricity, phone, gas, water, sewage, trash, recycling, TV, and internet. So those are all the utility bills that you can submit, and they have to be bills. I've had people try and submit, like Comcast agreements. That doesn't count. It has to be an actual bill. And this is the other thing that you don't want to miss because it's very subtle. You actually have to click this add evidence link where the arrow's pointing in order to get to the form where you can upload the evidence. If you miss this part, you'll see where it says 100% in the upper right-hand corner. If you don't click this add evidence, your appeal is submitted, but you haven't uploaded the evidence. And so it's very important that you click that add evidence link, because what's that going to do is it's going to open up a brand new form where you can upload your evidence. If you don't click that, you've just submitted your appeal form without any evidence. And so you need to click on that add evidence link. That's going to take you to a new form where your email will already be filled out, your business name will already be filled in, your address should already be filled in, and your profile ID should already be filled in. That's kind of a cool thing, that they pre-populate all that information with all that already filled in, so you don't have to fill that information in. Now, they give you 2 spots to upload documents, and my thinking is they should give you more, but keep in mind that you can upload a zipped file. So if you have more than 2 pieces of documentation that you want to upload, zip up the file and just upload a zipped file with your documentation. Then they're going to give you a text box where you can upload 1,000 characters worth of descriptions. So for instance, if you are accredited on the Better Business Bureau, and it's only really matters if you're accredited and you've paid the $500 to the BBB to get accredited, you can include the link to your Better Business Bureau link in this description and say, hey, we're accredited with the Better Business Bureau, because Google looks at that as well. And so you may want to include a link to that, and also tell them what you've changed. So if you fixed your name in your Google Business Profile listing because you were keyword stuffing, be sure and tell Google that you fixed the business name so that you're in compliance now. And so be sure and tell them what you fixed in your business listing, and make sure that you let them know what you fixed, if you fixed anything. And then you just need to say, are you requesting reinstatements for 10 or more listings? Check no if you're not doing that. So you get 1,000 characters to be able to explain yourself and explain what you've changed or why you should be reinstated. So once you've submitted it, you can go back to the appeal tool, and it's going to give you a status update. So it'll show that you've submitted your appeal. And then you can check this, go back to the appeal tool and check to see the status. So if your appeal has been approved, you're going to get an email from Google telling you that you've been approved. So hopefully you can do a happy dance at this point. So then once you go back to the appeal tool, you can check and see that it's been approved. Or you may get a denial letter saying that your appeal has not been approved, and you're going to see a not approved. So the main thing at that point is to follow you have to follow the rules with the appeal tool, because you really only get this one chance to do this. Now, there is another way that you can have them reevaluate your appeal if it doesn't get approved the first time. Now, this is something that Google doesn't want to really publicize too much, because it's kind of not something that they want to promote. So I took it out of the slide deck, but I'm going to put it in here just so you guys can see it. But if you don't get approved on the first time, or like, let's say you uploaded a document that wasn't the right document, there is a way to get a second chance to have them reevaluate your appeal. And so that's requesting a reevaluation. And you can do that through the link that's on the screen. And so to do that, you just go to this URL that ends in local appeals, and you request an additional review of a denied appeal. And again, this is something that not many people know about. And so I didn't really want to promote it too much, but I'm doing you guys a favor and figured I would let you guys know about this. So just don't publicize it too much. But this is really only get 2 shots with your appeal. So you get the appeal tool and then a reevaluation if you get denied the first time. So that's really your 2 shots at getting your appeal reinstated. So you definitely want to follow the rules when it comes to your Google Business Profile. And then if you need help, you can get support by going to this URL. And then if you want to get support from the community from the product experts like myself, you can go to this URL. And what I tell people is to look for product experts to answer your questions. And you can see next to their name, it'll tell you whether they're gold, platinum, diamond. Bronze members, they're really newbies. So I would take what they say with a grain of salt, but you really want to look for product experts because they're going to be most experienced with Google business profiles. So see if you can get a product expert to respond to your questions, because they have proven experience with working with Google business profiles. So you're going to get the best responses from a product expert on the help forum. And then here's my contact information. So I see some questions have come in. Do you guys want to field the questions for me?
Sure. Okay, I think we froze a little bit on your the last few slides because all I'm seeing is manage appeals for your Google Business Profile not approved. So maybe the Google gods were watching over and not letting you share something that you weren't supposed to share, right?
Could be.
Okay. I mean, I'm still amazed. I'm still amazed that in 2024 people are still trying to stuff their name. I just like
I
seriously.
know.
I
Yeah.
mean, come on. We've known this for how long have we known this? For
Forever.
yeah. Okay. Now, back in the day, I remember that I'll just say his initials, BH always told me to say, repair garage doors in the city and change it like weekly. And you could be okay back then, but you can't be okay anymore.
No.
So, okay. So can you explain business name stuffing? Yes, please explain that.
Yeah. So keyword stuffing would be like adding your city next to your business name, or adding other keywords. Like, let's say you're an optometrist and you're Dr. Smith, and you'd say dash optometrist in Green Bay. That would be keyword stuffing.
Mhm.
So any extra words that aren't part of your legal business name.
Yeah, because basically you showed the documentation. If you're stuffing your name and they want documentation what your official licensed name is, and you present that to them and it doesn't have all that other stuff in there,
They're not,
then
it doesn't match.
that's right, and you're screwed. Probably shouldn't
Yep.
say that, but basically
Yep.
you're screwed, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you want that name so bad, then go get it registered, right? Go pay for it to be in your business if you feel that's that important. Some people do, some people don't. But again, stuffing is not a good thing, just like keyword stuffing is not a good thing. So don't stuff your name with keywords and you will be left alone more than likely.
Right.
So I also had a question, which I'd love to hear your answer for. So what if you had a brick and mortar, but you also served cities around you
Mm-hmm.
as a repair, right? A
Yep.
service business like plumbing or heating or whatever, the service business is. What do you do then?
Yeah, then you're considered what we call a hybrid business.
Mhm.
And so as long as you have permanent signage, you can show your address on your Google business profile. You have signage and you have employees staff there during business hours, and you go out and serve the public at their locations. You're considered a hybrid business. So you can show your address on your Google business profile and go out and serve the public as well at their locations.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. Because there's a lot of service businesses that are like that. They do have a location where you could actually walk in and purchase whatever or shop or whatever the case may be. But the majority of them obviously don't, or they're back in, some area that is not really conducive to public walkthrough.
Right.
So, but I think that's important for people to understand that because if you're working, that's who I mostly work with personally because I know that industry. I grew that industry in the previous company I was with. So I understand that it's very kind of a fine line and what do you do? So again, it really depends on the business, but you also want to know that people, and to give you a little tip, service area businesses, if you have service pages, this can help you too, but that's something different. I know that our friend Joy talks a lot about that. But
Mhm.
so, anyways, and then of course, Tim asked, it only costs $500 to be accredited with BBB.
Yeah, I believe that's the price. Yep. So, the good thing about the accreditation is the Better Business Bureau actually checks all these documents that Google is checking. And so by having the Better Business Bureau, I think Google looks at that Better Business Bureau accreditation and thinks, okay, Better Business Bureau has already done their due diligence and checked. So that lends credibility to your business listing.
I think it's phenomenal. Now, Brian Reagan's a friend of mine, and he's a district manager for the BBB in this area, and he promotes that become a BBB membership, and if you ever get suspended, it really helps you get through quickly because, again, yes, the BBB they check everything. Your license, your this, your that, everything, the same thing like Google, but little faster process, let's say. And I've heard that people who have gotten suspended, if they are a BBB accredited business, that they get unsuspended very quickly. Is that a true statement or not a true statement?
I don't know that there's any quantifiable data to that, but I know that there are forms where Google will ask for your BBB link. So it leads me to believe that Google's looking for that,
Okay. All right.
or they at least pay attention to it.
And Doc says, I've heard it said that sometimes they'll require a video showing your address, showing you unlocking the door. So, yes, I can answer that, Doc, because when when we got verified a second time at the previous company, I was so irritated because it just got a little ridiculous. I had to walk out of the parking lot. I had to show both our outdoor signs. I had to show our truck out front, had to show our license plate, had to show the front of the building, had to walk in, show the showroom, had to walk in the back in our warehouse and show all the parts that we had, walk out in the back parking lot, show more trucks. I mean, I wasn't quite sure. I was just irritated by that time because I'm like, can you not see I'm a legitimate business? And I'm on a major freeway. You can hear the traffic going by.
Right.
But
So those are more for verifications, video
Mhm.
verifications. For Google, for the new appeal process, they don't ask for any videos.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
So
Well, that's
that's
good to
that's
know.
that's not on the list. Now, sometimes um, if you escalate a case, let's say you got denied and you want to escalate it, we can escalate them. That's not saying they're going to get overturned necessarily, because if they've been denied, that's not saying they're going to get overturned, but they may ask for a storefront photo or something like that. But I haven't seen them ask for a video.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Well, I mean, this was many years ago, so
Yeah.
I know things have changed quite a bit, and they continue to change quite a bit. Um, I think you gave a really great tip about documentation. I did it. Now, this is something new. I did not know that it's 60 minutes from the time you appeal. Oh my gosh. That is great information because, yeah, you better be ready and you
Yep.
better have everything in a nice locked up PDF file or a zip file as you recommended. So you can just pull that file and upload it and away you go.
Yep.
When did they change that to 60 minutes?
That's with the new appeals process that just came out a couple months ago.
Okay, I was gonna say that has to be within the last couple months because I really
Mhm.
didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. Yep. And then you need to be sure and click on that appeal or that documentation link, because if you miss that, your appeal will be submitted without any documentation and you will likely get denied.
Yeah, I was gonna say you'll be rejected because yeah, that was fab. I mean, that was worth my weight in gold in watching because it's those little things that a general person now, as you know, I don't like dealing with suspensions. I give them to you or somebody else, right? But if you're gonna try it yourself, those are those little tidbits you
They
gotta know
miss.
because I would probably be that one to click the button and say, "Oh, I'm done."
Right.
And then
And
I'd say, "Well, where was I supposed to upload my documentation?"
And we see that all the time on the help forum where people said, "I wasn't given the opportunity to upload documents." And I'm like, "You were, you just didn't see the link."
Well, it's small,
It is
right?
small, and we
And
tried.
submitted was big.
Yep,
So you're
no,
thinking you're done, right?
no, exactly. It said 100%, made it look like you were done, and so, yeah, it's really I wish that they would make it more I wish that they would make it blinking in red, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, "Click
yeah,
this link," but it's very
yeah.
subtle.
So I know that we briefly spoke before we went live about, I don't know if many, just general questions about Google Business Profile. Do you know the answer why they're getting rid of chat and messaging? Or it's just because it's time for a Google Business Profile to change? I mean, we're almost getting time for it to change its name again, but
Let's hope not.
I
I
know.
think yeah, usually when they deprecate a feature, it's because it's not being used very well. So it's
Uh,
usually because of adoption.
okay. All right. That makes sense. So are they putting something in its place or
Not
they're
that we've
finding
heard.
mm. So if you were so do you have any inside scoop of what's coming? What's something new that they're doing? Oh, I do want to talk about categories too. Oh, someone said the appeal time. Oh, yeah, you already answered that. The appeal is timed. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So categories. I know they're adding new categories every month or so, every other
Yeah,
month, and then they're
and
deleting
it yep.
categories. So they're adding, deleting, adding, deleting. And what if you still don't have a category that you have to pick what's closest to your business, right?
Right.
Well, let's say your business has 4 top categories. We know that they choose usually the top one, the first one, right? Now, it used to be that, like you mentioned, AC and heating, right? So air conditioning and heating. So in the summer, you want to have your top category as air conditioning, and in the winter, you want to have it heating, right?
Mhm.
So if you have, let's say, a 4-season business, do you just keep rotating those like every quarter or something? I mean, I know that you can only be in there, you mentioned once and walk away when you make a change. So with categories, I believe that what was the total number of categories that you can have? I can't remember.
Categories, I think you can have up to 10.
That's what I thought. Okay. So if you have a primary category, let's say marketing, but you do email and you do this and you do that and you have all 10 categories, they usually just choose the top one, right?
So the primary category has the most emphasis on it,
Mhm.
but they do look at the secondary and third and fourth and fifth categories as well. So it depends. So those will be looked at when the search queries are pulled. Like, so
Gotcha.
when you do search queries, then they'll look at the second and the third and the fourth and then pull you in based on those.
Yeah, because I always thought it was important, and I've had this conversation with other experts. And if you have that category within your business, then that should be listed up there.
Mhm.
You know, to be able to gain insight or gain customers from queries, right?
Yeah, you usually are able to get search results or get in the search results for other categories.
Now, the other thing that I think is really important, and I don't know how you feel about it, but optimizing your Google profile is really, really important. So Google can really know who you are and what you do. And one of the items that I notice frequently that clients rarely fill out are the questions.
The questions and answers.
hmm
Yep.
To me, how I explain it to people is this: not many people search during business hours. It's usually after hours or in the middle of the night when you can't
Mhm.
sleep, right?
Right.
So if they have questions and your competitor has questions with answers, they're probably going to look at their competitors rather than look at you because you haven't filled those out. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. So what I generally do for clients is I pre-populate about 10 questions and answers, frequently asked questions and answers, and I'll
Mhm,
pre-populate them with questions and then the answers to those questions when
mhm,
I set up a Google Business Profile for a client.
mhm.
And so that way the common questions and answers are already there for customers or potential customers so that they already know the answers to those frequently asked questions.
Yeah. There's so many parts to a Google Business Profile that people just skip, and I don't think they understand the value of it. Now, somebody told me, or I read, and I don't even, maybe it was Greg Gifford a while back, a long time ago, but the percentage of, you can get up to 70% of your leads from Google Business Profile. Is that a true statement?
I don't know that I've heard that stat, but but we talk to businesses all the time, and I've talked to businesses that have said that they will go out of business if they don't get their listing reinstated. And they mean it when they say that because they get all of their leads from Google Business Profile.
I can speak from experience that when we got suspended, our phones died,
Yep.
literally died. And I was scrambling, trying to I mean, this is the point where you don't put all your eggs in one basket, but I can tell you as a service business,
Yep.
uh, I don't think many service businesses realize how many leads they get from Google Business Profile. And then when something happens, they're like, "My phone's not ringing. Why is my phone not
Mhm.
ringing?" And you do a little research and you find out, well, because something happened with Google Business Profile, right?
Yep.
Okay, and my last question for you is, and this is more for general audience, is how often do you recommend doing posts on Google Business Profile?
So I generally do them once a week.
Yes. Okay.
They're not
You
social
know,
media posts, so you don't need to do them every day.
right. Well, I have seen, like, we did a test, like a friend of mine was posting every single day. And I said, "You're killing yourself.
Yep.
You're Google doesn't care. You're killing. They're ignoring you. You're not even ranking anymore." Yes, I am. Yes, I am. No, okay. Let's do a test. We're going to post 1 to 2 times a week. You're going to do it every day, and we're going to see who's going to rank higher. Well, guess what happened? I proved him wrong. It's kind of nice to prove a guy wrong. Sorry, people, but um, you know, and when he stopped doing that and started doing it 1 to 2 times a week, it was amazing how fast he started raising up in the organics and on maps. So
Interesting. Yep.
it's
Yeah.
really important that people understand that. On Google Business Profile, the biggest keys that you can do is optimize and follow the rules, and you'll win. If you don't, you'll lose and eventually be suspended. That's my thought process.
Right, right, right. And then watch out for competitors because if competitors are violating the guidelines, you can fill out what's called a redressal form
Mhm.
and report them. What I tell people is don't use your email address that is attached to your Google Business profiles. Use a different email address when you're reporting them. So don't use your email address that you use for Google Business profiles because that can maybe backfire for you.
Oh, that's great advice.
Yep, but
That's
you can fill out a redressal form and report people that are violating guidelines.
okay. So, what is the big talk right now on the forum? I don't know. Many of you may or may not know, but there is a Google Business Profile forum, and Sherry's in it, and there's several others that are in it, and they're the ones that are responding, helping, and teaching people things. So, what is the big thing that's going on right now in the forum?
Well, I've been under the weather the past couple days, so I haven't been on, but a lot of people are having problems with the appeals tool where they're
Mm,
getting an error message. And so there's been a lot of fielding questions about that. There's been a lot of people that have processing issues where changes that they've made have been processing for a while. And so they're not able to get help from support. Support isn't understanding their issue. And so trying to help people with that issue has been something that's been going on. And I'm trying to think if there's any other issues going on right now. Trying to think. But a lot of people just with suspension issues and panicking because they got denied with their reinstatement. And so letting them know about that second reevaluation that they can do has been a good thing that we've been
mm.
doing.
Well, I can tell you from experience, when you get suspended, it's a terrible feeling.
It is. It is. I've been suspended before too, and it's not fun.
No, it's a terrible feeling, and you're stressed, and you're trying to run a business, and now Google's messing with you, and you've always followed the rules and the guidelines and so on and so forth. What the heck is the reason that, you got suspended? And
Right.
so, my words of advice to everybody watching this: hire Sherry or a specialist that knows what they're doing when you're suspended. You can waste, they're worth every penny you pay them, because I wasted 3 months of our time, and within a week we were reinstated when I paid somebody to do it. Was where I will preach that all day long, because I've been there, I've done that, and it's no fun being suspended. And if you don't work in it every day, you may overlook why you are being suspended, because you may not understand the Google guidelines.
Mhm.
And it could be something very simple, but because Sherry is a specialist and she works in it every day, she knows how to see certain things that can help you get through your suspension. It's just awful.
Yep.
Oh, we had another question come in. When replying
Okay.
to reviews, do you try to fill out the 4,000 characters?
When replying to reviews?
Hmm.
Oh, no. Never do that. No, I don't do that. No. I just keep it short and sweet.
I don't think it's necessary to do the 4,000 characters. Now, I'll do probably 50, 60 sometimes. Um, you know, uh, I think, as long as you want to remember what, when you're replying, this is what I give advice to business owners, and maybe you do the same thing. I don't know, maybe you disagree with me. When you reply to a review, you're not just replying to that individual, you're replying to the whole world. Okay. Today, we're in an age where everybody reads reviews. And so, how you answer that review is really key, because people will either believe the person who wrote the review or the business owner, especially if it's a bad one. So, my advice is never be attacking, and be as kind as you can in that answer, because other people might see, well, that person was just an idiot, because sometimes they are. We all know that that happens, right? So, what is your advice to that?
Yeah, so definitely pay attention. Remember that other people are going to see that response, but always reply and acknowledge what they've said in their review if you can. So thanks for your review about our blah service. We really appreciate it. Or thanks for complimenting Susie. I'll let her know the comments that you made, those types of things. So try and tie back to the original review that they wrote and make it more personable if you can, is
Hmm.
one thing that I always suggest.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. So, does anybody else have any other questions? I'm sorry, I kind of just overtook it all, Sherry.
No, those were all great questions and great talking points.
Well, those are things that we got asked a lot in our clubhouse room before we closed. I mean, it was a weekly basis that we got asked those questions. So, I think it's important for people to understand how to do it. You know, I am not a proponent of thanks for the 5-star review. I am so irritated by companies that do that, but so many of them do that. Be a little more generous, be a little more forthcoming with your words. Repeat back what they said. I appreciate blah, blah, blah for blah, blah, blah. I mean, to me, that's carelessness, replying with thanks for the 5-star review, because that just tells somebody nothing. All right. So Casey has another one. Do you do you use AI when creating your profiles?
I don't personally. With Google Business Profiles, you can use AI when creating descriptions, and so
Mhm,
that's an option now. And
mhm.
so that's a tool that Google has built into your business profiles, so you can use AI when creating descriptions. And I'm sure they're going to build in more features with AI.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, if nobody else has any more questions, Sherry, I can't thank you for being a sport. I know if you have the allergy cold stuff, you can tell I've got it. I've had it for 3, 4 weeks now. I'm just
Yep,
tired
I've
of
got a
it.
scratchy throat. Yep, definitely.
Yeah, it's awful. At least it's been awful in Texas. So I hope we dry out for a while so I can get rid of all this stuff. But I can't thank you enough for being here today, for sharing your presentation, talking about suspensions. So appreciate you. And if you want to reach out to her, reach out to her. You can reach out to her on the forums. You can reach out to her, at I always forget Early Bird Digital Marketing. You can reach out to her there, info at digital marketing, our Early Bird Digital Marketing. There you go. Thanks, Casey. And she is willing to help. And she is, like I said, been around for a long time.
Yep,
There isn't much she hasn't seen,
this is true.
honestly. I mean, there really isn't much she hasn't seen. Now, I can't claim 1998, but I can claim 2007. So,
There you go.
yeah, so I've been around a long time too, but I have not experienced what she has. But thank you so much, Sherry,
You're
for being
welcome.
here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we'll talk soon.